Aston Martin will destroy Formula One in 2026. Not because they want to, because they shoveled every advantage on the table and pulled the trigger at the perfect moment. This is not hype. It's strategy, engineering, money, and timing all aligning. And if it works, F1's competitive map will change forever. The prison of the customer team. To understand why 2026 matters, you have to understand the tiny, invisible cage every customer team lives in. For a decade, the hybrid era has been dominated by works programs or de facto works partnerships. No purely customer team has won the drivers' or constructors' title since the modern turbo hybrid era began in 2014. Braun GP in 2009 is the exception and a reminder of how rare miracles are. Aston Martin today was a customer in every sense. A complete rear end for Mercedes, gearbox, suspension components, the whole integrated package they had to design their car around. When Mercedes switched suspension architecture in 2024, Aston Martin couldn't choose otherwise. Dan Fallows put it plainly, we've inherited new suspension from Mercedes. That cascade of dependency cost time, creativity, and most critically, the ability to set priorities. Martin Whitmar's blunt assessment still stings. It's very difficult to win consistently championships without a full works relationship. A works relationship is not just a better engine. It's a single voice across chassis, power unit, fuel, lubrication, data streams, and development resources. It's the removal of black boxes and the birth of a shared engineering language. That's what Honda and Aston Martin built, and why 2026 will be different. The rules flip the script. The 2026 regulations are not an incremental change. They're the most dramatic technical reset in a decade. The numbers show why every power unit engineer in the paddock has been waiting with a mix of dread and excitement. The MGUK, the motor generator unit connected to the crank, jumps from 120 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. Total electrical energy recovery rockets from 2 MJ to 9 MJ per lap. The internal combustion engine's roll drops to roughly 400 kilowatts, while electrical power climbs to 350 kilowatts. For the first time, F1 has a genuine 50-50 hybrid split. Most critically, the MGUH, the unit that scavenges heat from the turbo, is gone. For years, Mercedes used MGUH expertise to build an edge. Honda never mastered MGUH during the McLaren era. It was a weakness. Removing MGUH erases Mercedes' historical advantage and spotlights battery and energy management strengths, Honda's strongest suit. This regulatory change is a loaded weapon, and Honda already built the barrel. Honda's hidden advantage. Honda isn't walking into 2026 as a hopeful. They've been quietly developing battery tech and energy storage systems for years. The same project that secretly helped Max Verstappen dominate at Spa in 2021, an upgraded energy store, is the same expertise being pointed at Aston Martin. Yasuaki Asaki led a program to improve energy efficiency while cutting weight. The result? More usable electrical power, better packaging, and performance gains that converted into poles and wins. Koji Watanabe, Honda's racing president, didn't just say they're back. He said their focus is the electrical side, electric motor systems, and a battery. That aligns perfectly with the rules. If MGUK performance and battery management are the primary differentiators in 2026, Honda is not starting from scratch. They're starting from advantage. And they're doing it as a true works program. Watanabe confirmed no other power unit customers. Every Honda engineer, every development dollar an hour, and every testing resource is focused on one team, Aston Martin. No split priorities, no diluted attention. That exclusivity multiplies returns. Someone found the loophole, and the designer followed. Adrian Newey's move to Aston Martin was seismic. As the man who created the Red Bull era's aerodynamic masterpieces, Newey's single-minded genius changes the car's entire design philosophy. At Red Bull, Newey benefited from Honda's intimate engine chassis packaging. At Aston Martin, Newey has management control, technical partner, team principal, shareholder. That's creative freedom on steroids. Newey's early reaction to the 2026 rules. There doesn't seem much room for maneuver. Then you see flexibility when you dig in. Is the sound of a designer who just found a hidden corridor. Combine Newey's packaging demands with Honda's compact, electrically focused power unit, and you get something Red Bull flirted with. A chassis and power unit developed in a single rhythm, not a tacked-on compromise. Prototype gearboxes and collaborative development are already running across facilities in Silverstone and Sakura. Engineers swap components and data. Development cycles shorten. Aerodynamics and energy systems are designed as one. That's the structural advantage Mercedes customer teams never had. That's what Andy Cowell, Aston Martin's chief strategy officer and former Mercedes hybrid architect, calls liberating. Fuel, lubrication, and the three-way lock. The 2026 era doesn't stop at engines and batteries. Fuel chemistry is the new battleground. The move to 100% sustainable fuels and energy-based flow rules mean energy density is a primary performance variable. Higher energy density equals smaller tanks, lighter cars, and potentially 0.5 to 1.0 seconds per lap. Control the fuel, and you control the race. Aston Martin's four-way partnership, Aston, Honda, Aramco, and Valvoline, isn't a marketing deal. It's a triangular operating system. Aramco brings unmatched R&D scale, global labs, production facilities, and pre-season validation via 2025 F2 and F3 testing with 100% sustainable fuels. Andy Cowell's role focuses on optimizing the engine-fuel integration loop, with Honda focused on power, Aramco on fuel molecules, and Valvoline on lubricants. Aston Martin enjoys a closed-loop development pipeline other teams can't match. Red Bull used a similar close relationship with Honda. Aston Martin's setup arguably pushes that concept one step further. A single team, single engine, single fuel strategy, tuned exhaustively. Contrast that with Ferrari reportedly wrestling material issues on their power unit. Contrast it with Mercedes having to service multiple customers and thus spread development across 4 teams. That dilution matters when the development window is tight and the rules penalize half measures. Rivals' vulnerabilities. Red Bull faces the biggest risk. They're building Red Bull powertrains and partnering with Ford to create an engine in just a few years. A monumental task with no hybrid experience since Ford's last factory engine era. Losing Honda's maturity and Newey's co-location is not trivial. Mercedes must deliver power units for itself and multiple customers. A logistical and engineering strain during a regulation change. Ferrari reportedly misstepped on a compression loophole and faces teething issues. Alpine lost its work status. They're a Mercedes customer. In short, several of Aston Martin's key rivals enter 2026 distracted, stretched, or rebuilding. That leaves an opening for a concentrated, fully resourced program. Exactly what Aston Martin has built. The human center, Alonso's last shot. This story isn't only technical. It's deeply human. Fernando Alonso is the emotional axis of this partnership. The man who once screamed GP2 engine at Honda's McLaren program knows humiliation and redemption intimately. He's agreed to stay because this is real. An exclusive works engine, Newey's package, Aramco's fuel, Cowell's strategy, and a final shot at a third title at age 44 to 45, nearly 2 decades after his last. If this works, Alonso becomes the oldest modern champion, and the driver who once cursed a manufacturer's engine stamps history with vindication. If it fails, his last realistic shot evaporates. The pressure is real. The motivation is absolute. That intensity often matters on the razor edge between victory and near miss. What winning looks like, and why it breaks the field. Winning in 2026 won't be about one miracle race. It will be about sustained integration. Aston Martin's advantages stack. A compact, Honda-built hybrid package optimized for electrical output. Newey crafted aerodynamics tailored to that package. Global fuel integration with Aramco tuned to the power unit. Single team focus from suppliers and engineers. And strategic orchestration from Cowell to exploit every loophole the regulations allow. It's the difference between a choir and a soloist. The soloist can change the tempo at will. If Aston Martin unlocks even a fraction more lap time per corner through packaging, saves half a second per lap from fuel energy density, and runs a battery system that recovers and deploys energy more effectively than rivals, their lap time advantage compounds into race wins, then into consistent podiums, then into championships. That is how a new team, in modern F1 terms, can explode the hierarchy. Not by luck, by engineering monopoly for a season. The risk. This is not guaranteed. Building a works program is complex, fragile, and unforgiving. A radiator issue, a cooling compromise, a software glitch in energy deployment, or a rival's late-season upgrade can flip outcomes. Red Bull's ecosystem, Mercedes' depth, and Ferrari's raw pace remain threats. But in a season defined by electrical power and fuel chemistry, Aston Martin doesn't enter as a hopeful. It enters as a focused, closed, and optimized machine. That's the rarest beast in Formula One. Final beat. Aston Martin didn't stumble into this. They designed a six-dimensional bed. Engine, battery, chassis, aerodynamics, fuel, and human will. They bought exclusivity, hired a designer who can find hidden flexibility, and tied the world's largest energy company to their mission. If the 2026 regulations reward integration over fragmentation, Aston Martin and Honda may not just win. They may redefine what a modern F1 champion looks like. Fernando Alonso knows the stakes. Adrian Newey knows the corridors only a genius can find. Honda has been waiting for a rulebook that finally plays to its strengths. Aramco brings the lab power to turn molecules into seconds. If it all comes together, 2026 will not be a reset. It will be a shifting of tectonic plates. And Aston Martin will be standing at the epicenter. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want the season-by-season deep dive on how the technical pieces fall into place. The next decade of Formula One just started, and 2026 might be where everything breaks, where everything is remade.